Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
Are you there, Drew? Drew, come in, Drew.
Well, I'm here, but where is Sam? He's been replaced by Mr. Tumnus. How lovely to meet you.
What? What are you on about?
Sorry, mate. I just made myself laugh there. Well, you know, the furniture behind you.
Right. Yeah, I'm still on tour, so I'm still in digs. What?
Have you just appeared, you know, from the wardrobe?
Oh, for goodness sake. Right.
It's a penny drop.
So Mr. Tumnus, the fawn from The Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe. That's what we're going for today.
That's what we're going for. Because for those of you who can't see Sam as well as I can, he's very much still on tour and very much still in digs and very much sitting in front of a dirty, great big wardrobe, which made me laugh.
On this week's episode of What's Going On in Narnia, Sam and Drew are going
What's going on in my brain? I think more like it.
Well, anyway. I don't know, mate. Speaking of going on, what have you been up to? What has been going on in the world of Drew?
I've had I've been doing lots of work in the jungle, in the adventure jungle. Been doing lots of tours. Rehearsed a reading of the play.
Fighting Irish. Your tour that's coming up.
Yeah. So lots of prep for that. And a couple of dinner shows. So it's all been very busy, but
busy with a nice variety of stuff by the sound.
Oh yeah. I'm very grateful that I've been jobbing about and bobbing about. It's been really good fun. And you obviously are still, in front of the wardrobe. So
I am still on tour. We've just finished rehearsal period, so we start next week with our actual performances, which is very exciting. Very quite nervous, actually. I mean, performing for children, and obviously they are simultaneously the best and worst critiques. I mean, they make fabulous audiences, but they certainly let you know if they haven't enjoyed something. I think it's probably a fair point to make. And I also managed to fit in a dinner theatre show outside of rehearsals and an audition as well. So quite a few bits and pieces going on. So pretty busy. And I have to say, mate, I've just realised we've got this far and I haven't done the obligatory check. Are you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Locked and loaded, ready with a nice cold one. So cheers to you, Drew. Lovely to see you.
Cheers, Sam. Lovely to see you. Lovely to be here with our lovely subscribers, listeners, and fans. I'm going to have a slurp now.
And I've just reminded myself, and I'm not sure how, but I believe we need a toast, mate.
Yeah, we do, don't we? Yes, we do.
I've just clicked, and we actually mentioned it outside. So I'm going to raise my bottle. I haven't got a glass. Please raise your glass, and everyone joining us, wherever you happen to be in the world, home, or at work, traveling around, please raise your appropriate beverages, if you can, to 1 year of Drewling Samantics.
We are 1 year old. How wonderful.
1 year old.
Cheers, Sam.
1 year old, 1 year's old. How's it? What? We are one. We are one.
We are one.
What's it? I'm sure the people that are nearby my digs are going, why is he shouting "We are one"? It's very. He joined a cult or something. Very. But anyway, yes, we are. I believe is it a year to the day?
It's a year to certainly within 48 hours of the first.
We
first
released
episode.
our first ever Drewling Samantics podcast, the first ever published episode of, well, basically us rambling, but across Zoom.
Across Zoom with various lovely people popping in to say hello.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to think about it. The first season we had 3 guests. Second season was 6, 7, then another 7. So we must be about 20 guests in, maybe a few more actually.
I think there might be a few more. Yeah.
Across our 4 seasons, or 3 and a bit seasons, where we're about halfway through this one, aren't we? So yeah. I mean, We actually referenced, didn't we, recently something about numbers, because we got to 50 episodes and we were talking about on social media. We referenced the fact we were sort of 130 something social media posts in or whatever. But it's I find it quite intriguing to look at what we have achieved. And it sounds very sort of, oh, we are amazing, look at what we've done. But I mean more in a progression kind of way, where we started, what's changed for us, what's changed in the world, what's changed in the industry, and how things have come along, and not just an increase in numbers and perhaps in subscribers and listeners and whatever else, but just how things have actually changed quite substantially in the space of 52 episodes in a year, 51 episodes.
Well, I mean, if you think as well, the year that we have been through, I mean, the very reason, and we have to mention, that the unwelcome guest, we can't ignore that, and the very reason that we said, when shall we talk on Zoom to more people than just ourselves? Call ourselves a podcast, and strange that this week as well, the week that has gone by, and Thursday saw all the restrictions go. Yeah. With
crazy. But
it's extraordinary.
I mean, we've almost come full circle, and we obviously haven't, because despite things now being fully relaxed, or however you want to phrase it, it is still very prevalent. Coronavirus, I dropped a C-bomb there, sorry. It is very much still present.
The shadow's there. Yeah. It's still under the shadow. And
things will never be the same again. And I mean, that's very sort of damning and kind of impending doom. But I personally believe, and rightly, wrongly, whatever, there is no right answer, but I think it will very much end up in line with sort of how flu is seen. And I believe probably we'll end up with yearly vaccines, like you do with flu, certainly for those that are vulnerable or over a certain age or whatever.
That was a huge, we've learned to live with that, and that obviously it killed a lot of people, and it still does to a degree, but we've learned to live with that. So I guess in the same way, we have to learn to live with the unwelcome guest. At some point, I suppose we had to to take that leap of faith, and however one feels about it, and I don't want to go into too much detail, as we said, but however one feels, okay, we've kind of got to do it at some point, I guess. And I don't know about you, I will still be taking some precautions and that.
I mean,
and also, and not only that, I've got to think of going to visit my mother, an elderly, but so she's I've got a sort of kind of shield for her, and also workmates. I mean, we're both in working in companies in connection with a group of workmates, but also going into larger groups of people. So in a way, we've got it's we're just going to have to think about. I mean, it's interesting, when you look back over the year, that this is how we started.
Yeah.
In a very grim, very frightening time, hanging on to, what semblance of normality we could. And yet we've come, as you say, through this very strange year. Things are never quite going to be the same.
No.
And we're looking to deal with our work situation and our personal lives, as I said before, in a very different way. It's fascinating.
Yeah,
in a way.
I guess we do, and the things we've experienced in that time. I mean, we were in lockdown when it all started out, and then we came out, and then we sort of went back in, and then things were supposed to all open up, and then they didn't, and things were delayed, and then we've had a Christmas. Then previous to that, we didn't have a Christmas. There's so many little things, and both of us were lucky enough to do Panto, for example, and to get through a full run, which was pretty much unheard of throughout the industry, or at least without sort of shows being postponed or
without
moved
casualties,
or whatever. We both had shows cancelled due to the situation. We both had things we were supposed to do, tours or whatever, shows, filming, so many different things that were all affected by what now is almost sort of something that is talked about as part of life, which is quite scary in a way.
It's like you say, it's very interesting how we do talk about it as part of life. It's like people talking about the weather. Oh, it's raining today. One of my mates has got COVID. You kind of just drop it. Well, yes. The C bomb dropped again. People do drop it in the conversation. It is. I think the thing about living with it and dealing with it, I think is already happening because, certainly the industry, we have all tried to get back to work because we have no option. Many of us don't have other, if we do have sideline jobs, they've gone as well.
Well, yeah.
So, pretty much everybody in the industry was that they had the rug pulled right from under their feet and had nothing else. So we have made those changes, even in the midst of lockdown. I did little film jobs and things like that when it loosened up. But they were enormously compromised by the unwelcome guest. I signed a contract for the job coming up, and it has written COVID variation. So under the official heading of the contract, and it was an equity contract, equity ratified contract, and it's got this is a COVID variation because you don't know what's going to happen.
No. I think it's now a part of contracts. I mean, we've talked about before being on film sets and there being COVID officers or COVID contacts and just everything has changed. But and I'm sure it's the same the world over, but particularly that good old British stiff upper lip, carry on spirit. Well, we're stuck with this. COVID. It's not going anywhere. So let's adjust, adapt, overcome. And we certainly have done, and I think I know that I've done work, or the jobs that I've done have certainly taken a different pathway or worked in a different way that they perhaps would have done had none of this occurred or had this never been a consideration. And I think again we talk about the resilience of the industry to find ways to keep going and people's, I guess the general public's desperate need for what we provide was heightened, wasn't it? I know we've talked about all these things previously, and it is interesting to look back and think, wow, we had a really in-depth conversation about some of these things because at the time there was nothing else going on, and it was so fresh and raw. Yeah,
I mean, it has been for nearly 2 years now the main topic of conversation and the thing that is driven and decided our lives. I mean, when like I said, we went into lockdown, rugs were pulled from under everyone's feet, everyone had to stop working, and there was that moment of wow, what do we do? Yeah. How do I pay for things? How do I go shopping? How do I do this? And then, and the other thing I remember the other day, someone dropped something outside in the street. I don't know what it was, but it reminded me. Do you remember that when everybody was leaning out their windows and banging pots and pans and clapping for the NHS? That seems, to me now, it seems a bizarre thing to have done, but seems so distant. Yeah, so distant. And I thought, well, how easily we forget. I mean, a great thing to have done. I'm not knocking it, if you pardon the pun, but certainly seems such a long way away.
Yeah. How things have come along, and you can look at that from an industry point of view as well. I mean, you'd almost find it odd now if you heard that a theatre had closed due to COVID, or that a show had been completely pulled due to restrictions and due to cast illness. I mean, touch wood, I've not been affected. My production or the tour I'm doing at the moment has not been affected. Sincerely hope it isn't. Likewise with yours. We can never guarantee that. And as you say, the contracts are now written to sort of cope with the scenario should it arise. But it's almost like it's such a way of life now that things are just carrying on. And I mean, masks on public transport, I believe, are no longer. I mean, I don't even know the full rules and regs now.
No, they're no longer obligatory, but you are advised. It would be a good idea to to wear one, and it's like the thing of like, you don't have to self-isolate now, but it's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
So I suppose,
I think people are still, and I feel like a parrot or getting deja vu, because I'm sure I've said almost exactly the same thing before, but people will continue to do it because your conscience says to you, well, it's the right thing to do. Just because it's not written in stone and it's the law and you're not going to get penalized if you don't, doesn't mean that. Obviously, there is a small part of the population, a select few people who have doubted from the start and still doubt and don't want to follow rules and regulations. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I personally follow science, and science suggests many things. But I think there have always been those that don't agree and don't follow, and as a result, they're now in a position where they're like, well, great, I'm still not following things, I'm still not doing it, and now I don't have to. People will be off my back about it. But I think those that have from the start tried to do everything in their power to be as safe as possible and conscientious and worrying about fellow man and those who are vulnerable, I think they will continue to do what's within their power to be safe and to care for others.
It's kind of, I mean, I could see that. I mean, like yourself, I follow the sign. I thought, well, it makes sense to do that. It seems a sensible option. Who knows whether but masks seem to work. Self-isolation seems to work. Sanitizing your hands, they seem sensible precautions to take. I mean, very few people get in the car now and put a seatbelt and don't wear a seatbelt. Don't save you. It's just rumor. No, it's true. It does. It will help save your life.
Yeah.
So it's just the way I think our attitudes towards things have changed, and I think that's. I think that's changed me. I think the business has changed. The industry has changed with regard to that as well. Do you know what I mean? I think over the year, I think the people's health has become very important to production companies, and that they're looking in a fresh way of going, well, maybe if we look at that, then maybe we should look at other aspects of safety, and I think it might to a degree have made them rethink, made production companies and people with money go, okay, we've really got to, if we're going to invest in this, everything has to tighten up, everything has to be right, so that may be a good thing to come out of the uninvited guest and go, yeah, those things have tightened up. That's good for the industry. And I've certainly taken better care of myself. I've thought about, going into shows and thinking like Panto. I mean, Panto is notoriously tough. We all know it's tough, and we all look after ourselves. Everybody, well, most of the people look after their voices. They get a good night's sleep. They go out and, when we could, we went out and had, a meal afterwards and a few drinks. Fine. But I really thought about, I've got to look after myself. I've got to be doubly certain that I'm going to be healthy enough to do the show, maybe not get the seasonal cold, and not get the big C. Let's not be affected by coronavirus.
It's funny, isn't it? Because the phrase panto lurgy it's almost it's almost expected, isn't it? When you for anyone that isn't familiar, when you do pantomime, because you tend to be working in such a close-knit community with the same people, and it's not like doing a normal show or a normal production where you're doing, I don't know, 5 shows a week or 5 evenings and 2 masses or so. So you almost always on a musical or a play or whatever be single figures per week shows. Whereas we both had weeks for Panto where we were probably, I mean, I must have done a week where I had 15 shows, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm working. So you are literally there all the time. You are never really out of the dressing room or off the stage from maybe, let's say, 8 o'clock in the morning to probably 10 o'clock at night. So it's not quite the same as turning up, doing a couple of hours show with a lot of people that and you're near them for that, but then you've all sort of got some downtime. So Panto lurgy, if someone gets a cold or someone gets the sniffles or some sort of winter kind of bug, it's almost inevitable that the rest of the pantomime cast will get it, or it will go round at some point. Plus, as you say, you do need to look after yourself, but nonetheless, unless you are eating really well and exercising really well on top of all those, you are going to get run down because you're doing so much.
Oh, it happens. Yeah.
But I think probably because we were all so careful, because of the unwelcome guest and everything else going on, and also the fear of going, oh, I feel a little bit ill. Shit. What is it? Is it pathologic? No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Like PCR or whatever. I think actually people were potentially healthier doing panto this time around, which is a ridiculous thing to say, but
no, I think you're right. I mean, I've kind of rethought. You know, I mean, there was that. I mean, everybody in lockdown was going, okay, I'm gonna try and do some exercise or walk or whatever, but I didn't do as much as that. But I did cycle. I got the bike out. You know, I went cycling. I cycled to shops. Things where normally I would have. Yeah, that's right, mate. Yeah. Shut your face. But I did think about health and that, and you know, because it is a health scare, obviously, you know. But I thought about, you know, how do I keep healthy? You know, how going forward, you know, and I'm, you go, I'm in one of the slightly higher risk groups as well. So
it's the first time you've been high in anything, isn't it? At 5 foot something.
Well, yeah, but I'll wear that one.
It's been a year, mate. I'm going to throw a few extra insults in for any that I might have missed throughout the past 52 weeks. Or whatever. We've
not missed many, but go for it.
No, but don't worry, I won't aim too high because they'll go straight over your head. Anyway, I was going to say, so what we've established is that over the past year, we've experienced something along with the rest of the population that in living memory, no one's really gone through anything similar or quite as substantial. And because of that, we've perhaps learned to look after ourselves a bit better while working. Here you go, throw you under the bus. What else have you learned, Drew, from doing a year of podcasting?
A year of podcasting?
Yes.
It's certainly concentrated my mind. It's made me, because we broke that when we've had certainly some of our earlier episodes, we broke down to subject matter as a way of introducing ourselves to listeners and that, and we tackle different subjects. And as we had guests come on, and it's made me break down the way we work or the different departments of our work, and look at it and go, okay, you know, how much respect do I pay that branch of work? Should I be improving myself in that? Then you get a guest on, you go and you learn, you know, crikey, I didn't know that was, you know. However, you know, it's like you know, we had, you know, stuntmen on, a makeup artist, and you go, yeah, I see these people on set, and you know, I sit in a makeup van and drink a cup of coffee, and you know, have a lovely conversation and go out of there and go and shoot. But then you get to learn what these wonderfully talented, gifted people have in their lives and how they regard us as well. That's the other thing, you know, to be you know, an actor is yes, I need to you know, when we spoke to Grace and she was saying, you know, about, you know, makeup and everything, she's saying, yeah, I look at that person, I have to make Becky Grace. But yeah, well, you know, we spoke to Becky and she said, you know, I look at that face, I have to make that person. I worked with that person backstage when she was working on shows and that, and you know, and you think, yeah, that's a job. So it's certainly what I've learned from podcasts is to appreciate people's skills a lot more, and to help them when they're working. So when I was doing panto and directing the panto, I paid an awful lot more attention to what the wardrobe department had to do, what the stage management. I mean, I've always been appreciative of them, but when they said, "Oh, that's not going to work because of," I went, "Yeah, there's no question about that. We don't have to second guess that. You're right." So
there's definitely more of an awareness now, having spoken to people and heard sort of like the depths of their profession and how it all connects together and how we all link. We are one big happy family in the performance industry, but so many interesting stories and backgrounds and areas within the vocation that sort of all come together to make that final product. And it does give you not a bigger appreciation, but perhaps a wider one to an extent.
And and restoring, opening my eyes and things that, because of the nature of the job, you do take things for granted, because everybody does their jobs really well. If it all flows smoothly, then you don't think about someone's work. But as soon as we get the hiccup of, the unwelcome guest, you do look at back and go, oh, well, yeah, and because the industry was waiting for some help from government, you then went, oh my word, how many people are affected? This long, big pyramid. The actors at the top or whatever, the show, the play, the film is up there, but then woof, there are so many people. So yeah, it kind of made me, reflect on how important we all are, everyone, to making.
I think I think what a lot of people may have learned over the last, let's say, sort of 15 years, more so than perhaps beforehand, is particularly anyone that's fond of Marvel movies. They have an incredible knack for making people sit and watch beyond credits, because they do like to put those little Easter eggs or those little clips at the end. Yeah. And I think perhaps because you are now sat there waiting for that, the extensive list of people that come up in the credits and the jobs and the titles and what they've got, I think perhaps people do have a better awareness of just how many different elements go into making that final product. And as we said before, how would anyone have got through lockdown or lockdowns without media, without film, TV, streaming, YouTube, podcasts? Yeah, that probably should have been the first one, really, shouldn't it? But even things like books and music, if you're not able to get your media out there because of restrictions, then people can't get that end product, and then you're kind of stuffed with what to do. I mean, I'm not going to go the sort of Jay from the In-Betweeners route and go, oh, well, yeah, Netflix completed it, mate. But I think certainly because not as much was being produced and things weren't being released as much, I think you did sort of have to go, wow, let's look at older things or rewatch things, and it does make you kind of go, wow, like how much and how many different elements were affected and kind of had to stop. But yeah, so I think I agree, definitely a better appreciation, a bigger awareness for different areas of the industry. I also think that it's given me a real, it's opened my eyes up to how important it is to keep in contact with people and to keep, I guess, just to keep on top of relationships, friendships, speaking to colleagues. And I mean, we had it, and essentially that's one of the main reasons that we are where we are now, is because we hadn't had an opportunity to go down the pub, sit and have a drink, or post-show, post-gig, have a drink and put the world to rights, or moan like grumpy old gits like we are. And until we started doing this, there was that short period where we hadn't been in contact a great deal, because like a lot of people, like most people, you kind of were very blinkered and went, right, no, I've got to sort myself out. This is a really horrendous situation. And rightly so, you do have to look after number one. But when we finally sort of went, do you know what, we haven't chatted for, I'll tell you what, let's jump on Zoom, or let's have a video call, or even just a chat on the phone. And suddenly you got that, wow, I've really been missing contact, albeit virtual contact, but that catching up feeling, that keeping in the loop kind of thing. I think certainly the last year, how things have changed made me very, very aware how important it is. So I think that was a big one for me, certainly.
Yeah, I think, I mean, when it was interesting that, I mean, you meant the word Zoom. I mean, where would anybody, I mean, I mean, the industry has changed from that point of view, that, I mean, I've had Zoom auditions, Zoom castings. meetings. We've produced a podcast over Zoom. People have made movies, films, plays. How
so
much.
What you're saying is you're gutted you didn't invest in Zoom.
Yeah. Yes, I am. I didn't even. I mean, I hadn't even heard of Zoom before. Who had? I mean, in all honesty, how many people had? And now most people's lives, revolve around it.
Yeah. I mean, we do have to say there are others available. I believe.
Of course.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Skype still around? I don't know. I think it might be.
Yeah, Skype's still around. Yeah, people Skyping.
Also, Microsoft Teams, I think, is
Teams. There's Teams out there. Yeah.
Well, I think you could probably comfortably say for the general public, certainly, maybe not so much in business, Zoom is. I mean, it's up there, isn't it? There's Zoom, and then there's everything else.
Yeah. It's been and also, I mean, getting stuff delivered. I noticed when I was talking about wardrobe departments and that, and we all know that everybody has been, living with and getting their food delivered if they possibly can. But then they've got they've got those big companies, eBay, Amazon, ASOS, people like that. They've been supplying the world with their goods, understandably. But when the shops opened again, when people were able to get out, I mean, my wardrobes and props buying, I'll have a little Google, see if I can find it, online. It's like, I remember years ago going and props buying is like going out with a the production money, the petty cash, going and buying things. Now it was like sitting in front of the screen with petty cash.
Cash. Who uses cash?
Yeah.
It's mental. And
ridiculous.
I mean, as is probably hugely predictable, we've gone completely off topic. We're supposed to be talking about how the industry has changed and what we've learned in the last year. And we're talking about how no one uses money anymore and how the superpowers online. But it's all connected, albeit sometimes tenuous links or whatever. But
it's all reflected in the work that's being produced. I mean, if you think of TV ads now, TV commercials are the number of commercials that are linked to internet and digital products, online products, and that actors are advertising. The way that people are buying their theatre tickets, that everything is just gone online, and all that affects the business. The business is being run online, as we said. Auditions, casting, self-taping. I mean, everybody, every actor now is expected to have good equipment, good microphones, good camera, and be able to produce, a reasonable self-tape. And if you can't, I think your employment opportunities are affected.
Yeah.
So that has completely changed. The way that the industry reaches out to its actors.
Do you know what, mate? I think I would very much like to think that in a year's time we'll still be sat here. I mean, I doubt I'll be in Narnia. I would hope I'll be back in the studio by then. But it would have to be a very successful tour. But I would say with quite a lot of confidence that in a year's time, it'd be nice to look back and reflect on our second year, our second anniversary. But I would be enormously surprised if it would show such a substantial change across that year. I think it's just, I mean, I said it before, but unprecedented, the way that things have changed and what has happened and how the world has adapted and grown.
Absolutely. So,
but I'll make you a promise right now, mate, that in 1 year's time, we will sit and we'll go back over the year again and we'll go, thank goodness it wasn't such a crazy year, but what I'm going to say. So I'm going to anticipate that it's going to be a brilliant year. We've got a brilliant year to come, and we'll be able to reflect on it in some time. But yeah. So thank you, mate, for the past year.
Thank you. Cheers to you. Cheers.
And thank you, everyone else, for tuning in. And I guess to finish off, what have you got coming up over the next year, Drew?
Well, I'm predicting a little bit more hair loss, a little bit more grey hair.
I mean, we're not going to go into which hair is going to be lost and which is going to go grey, because that's not our style.
No, we wouldn't do that. I mean, I just hope to keep the coming up is just more positivity, and using our chats and chats with people, just to carry on working and just to put the unwelcome guest, shut the door on him, and move on. So yeah. And what about yourself? What do you think your year holds for you?
I don't know, mate. I just more. I think is
more.
I've been very lucky to be able to do as much as I have with all the restrictions and everything in place and various other things. I'd just like to be able to keep that going, keep the as you say, the positivity going, and just keep busy. I like being busy. I mean, I'm sure I don't say that halfway through a run where I'm knackered and feeling like rubbish and there's so much to do, and then I've got to fit this in and fit that in and do all that. But I just love what I do, and it's an honor to be able to do it. So if I can sit here with you in a year's time and go, well, what a year, what I've done, that's the dream.
Can't ask for more, can you? No. Can't ask for more. And
well,
immediately,
and landing a role where I'm paid 100 million to be in a movie, obviously. But
boom, I love that. Yeah. But I mean, in the immediate future, what does next week hold for you? You'll start performances. Is that
so
correct?
We are off with our performances. Just taking all our hard work over the past couple of weeks and putting it out there for those very, very judgmental audiences made up of many children. So we'll fingers crossed that all will go okay. What about you? What's coming up in there?
Well, I'll be sending myself to Coventry. I shall be up to start rehearsals. Yeah. So that's it. That's what we'll be occupying my time fully.
But promise me something. You're still going to be tuning in with me each week.
Oh, mate, yes. The studio becomes mobile. Off we go. I shall miss the Sofa of Dreams, of course, but
who knows? You might have your own wardrobe of wonder.
Is that what you're calling it now?
Maybe, yeah. But
I mean, I have so resisted, but not for much longer. So resisted, saying, anything referencing coming out of the closet,
and there we go. Thanks, everyone. See you next time. No.
That's beneath me.
So then, Drewling Samantics listeners, viewers, subscribers, next week you have me and probably my wardrobe to look forward to. You've got Drew and wherever he happens to be, and
I don't know.
Who knows what will be going on there, and another special guest.
Boom! Yes, you said it. Yeah, we got a very, very special guest next week. Yeah.
So
that's going to be
make sure you don't miss it. Drew, happy 1 year, mate.
Happy 1 year.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the past year. Here's to another great year. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone. Let's do it again. See you soon.
Thanks again for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
If you have, then please consider subscribing to our channel and you'll get notified every time a new video is released. Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app.
Please support us on other social media too. We're on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and all our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so please share with your family and friends and we'll be eternally grateful. Stay safe and we'll see you next time.